Holla holla, it's your boy, George Billionaire. And yes, Monday, my favorite day of the week. I love my Mondays. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will be glad and rejoice in it. I don't know about you, wherever you are, but Monday always fills me up with so much hope, so much inspiration, so much more to do. So little done and so much to do. So today we're on our way to Cappy Talk, as always, on Hustle Hard. And Hustle Hard's motive and intention is to provoke, inspire, and equip you. I know there is a better, greater individual inside you, but the only thing that you lack is that push, is that knowledge, is that little insight, that extra little nugget of wisdom to put onto what you already know, and most importantly, to get rid of the thing called fear. Today we're going to be talking about fortune favors the brave. Fortune, good things happen to those who are fearless, those who are courageous above all else, to do what hasn't been done, to conquer things that have not been conquered. Those are the ones that live the life that they want to ultimately live. And today, very insightful show. Make sure you always tune in every single Monday. Click subscribe on this YouTube channel and get so much more information about what's going on, about our masterclass, which is happening every single month, about all the things that I do that I can guarantee you will change your life. Remember what I said, hanging around me is very contagious, because I will push you into doing what you never used to do before, and I can guarantee you the results will be great. Let's go.
Talking all things fortune, talking all things the favor, George Billionaire is in the building. Is fortune on your side? Can you get fortune to be on your side? Who is fortune? Let's start there. George, how you doing?
Becky K.
Good to have you back. And this is wonderful, because we've been using the other studio, hey?
True that.
Yeah, so this feels
right.
like, wow, brand new.
It's good to be back. Holla holla. It's your boy, George Billionaire, with none other, Becky K.
What it do?
There's no other better station to be listening to on a Monday.
Tell them.
Until you get to this time between 12 and 3 o'clock.
That's right.
Where you know Becky K is the captain of the ship, and she brings on some amazing people on the show, and it's always worth listening. It's always worth implementing in your life. And Becky, it's good. The studio is looking amazing. Cappy Talk looks absolutely amazing. And a big shout out to all the pulsers who are always tuning in every single Monday. And today we're going to be talking about something that's going to kind of add on to what we were talking about last week, where we were talking about your mind is a garden. Mm-hmm. And whatever you feed your mind is ultimately what you become. And we can say so many things about what we fed our mind with, which has determined where we've ended up today. But as always, this is the time on Cappy Talk where we're going to be provoked, inspired, and equipped by the things we're about to feed everybody who's tuning on with. And it's encouraging that, Becky, the response from the people we meet in the streets, it shows people are listening.
Yeah.
But what we want, especially on the show, if there are people who began their hustles, I mean, we've been going on this for some time now. It's always good to hear people who actually have taken action steps to actually begin and commence businesses. There's so many who've come up to me and said that. So many have WhatsApped me. So many have come to the masterclass from the program. So it's always good to hear some of those people, to actually hear from them. I think it's good we dedicate some time, on shows to come, to actually hear from people who've actually gone on the journey less traveled.
Oh yeah, that would be great.
So that people can actually understand that, guess what? In this life, you only get to live the life that you want to live according to what you want.
Yeah.
And today's topic is fortune favors the brave.
Yeah.
Fortune favors the brave. And I know this is a quote many have heard, but people don't understand what it really means. But today we're going to expand on it and actually get into detail by giving some practical names and life experiences of people who've actually done what others have not done.
Brave things.
Which has resulted to them being at places that others are not. And then you can see that the greatest hindrance to many people listening, watching us, is a 4-letter word that begins with F, and it goes E, and it goes A, and it ends with R. That 4-letter word is called fear. And fear has held up so many people from becoming what they are supposed to be. And fear, abbreviated, stands for false evidence appearing real. But you'll find that there are some people who are brave, people who are courageous. And according to this universe we live in, fortune truly favors those who are brave, those who have a heart of a lion, those who are not kusiri kufande kupi. Let me just do it. Let me just try. What do I lose if I do it anyway? And those are the people who end up living the life that they want, because fortune favors the brave. Now, you know, one of the things, the great entrepreneurs here in Zimbabwe, the likes of Shingi Mutasa, Strive Masiwa, Dr. Stephen Magolis, Sodwa Mkandla, Ken Sharp, the list can go on. There's one common denominator about all these people that I've mentioned, and some I haven't mentioned or I've mentioned before on shows. These people decided to be courageous enough to go a journey less traveled. These people had what is called a faith to say, you know what, why don't I just try? And because they did something, and it to all, you know, many people will tell you, like we were talking last time, they are what are called naysayers. There are people who may want to blow out your candle. There are people who may want to tell you it won't work. There are people who will tell you you're not educated enough. But fortune has something to do with people who are unapologetically brave and know what they want to achieve in life. And as I said before, when I started my journey with Pro-Am, many people told me it's not going to work. Many, some very close people. And I've said this and reiterated it so many times. But there's something that happens to somebody who is resilient, somebody who does not give up. Because those people plant a seed today. Yes, the naysayers will be talking. And what they do, they water their seed, right? Their seed then grows. When you then see that seed become a tree, and now is a shed, and now it's taking care of them, once upon a time, everybody else was scared to have planted a seed. But all these names I mentioned and all these people who've ever become great in life went against the status quo. I love the story in the Bible about David and Goliath. An amazing Bible story, we all know it. And David is a person who sees opportunities, right? And there's so many people around the world who see opportunities, but they are not brave enough. They are full of fear. They are full of, I don't know if it will work. One of my mentors told me that, George, whenever you see an opportunity, even if you don't know how to do it, right? Accept it and then go and find out how to do it and then deliver. And there are many people who think, I have to know everything for me to be able to get into this thing called business or entrepreneurship. Trust you me, with David, he had fought certain battles before and he was faced with an encounter. There was a great reward for a person who was going to kill this particular giant, right?
And he did ask, he's like, what's to be given?
Understand,
to the
very
person
specific,
who does this?
because he knew his inner ability. And there are many people who know their inner ability. There are many people who have been passed by opportunities regularly, right? We've said our abbreviation of poor is passing off opportunities regularly. David saw an opportunity and said, wait a minute, these guys don't know what I can do. Who is this uncircumcised Philistine who defies the army of the Most High God? And he saw that opportunity, and guess what? He was courageous to stand up and conquer the fight. And understand, in life, get it correctly, the brothers, the naysayers, were saying things to him. No, you're too young. The king himself said, listen, put on this armor. But then in life, understand, you know yourself better. You know the lifestyle that you want. And David and Goliath is an amazing story about how fortune favors the brave, the courageous. Fortune favors, right? There's a specific favor that goes on to people who are brave.
Who step forward.
Because
is this what we are saying? Like if you do step forward towards something good is bound to happen. Are we breaking down fortune as good things happening to you or getting the reward? Is that what we are terming fortune to be?
You know, one of the things that a lot of people fail to understand, which I continuously repeat, is that biologically speaking, when we were born, when God created you, before you were formed in your mother's womb, he knew you. And God deliberately created people not to be average,
right?
But he created winners. So you were born to win. But then because of whatever happens on this planet, you are configured. You know, the word of God says, do not be conformed to this world, right? But be ye transformed, because success begins in your mind, by the renewing of your mind, right? So David had some kind of belief, some courageous belief in him. So is it with all other successful entrepreneurs. They are bold, they are confident, they know specifically what they want, and they go after that, which is why they end up getting the results that others do not. So in life, with the story of David and Goliath, fortune will only favor those who are bold enough to take a step, bold enough to start. Becky, had I not been bold enough to take a step to begin Pro Air 13, 14 years ago, I wouldn't be talking to many people today. I wouldn't be providing air conditioning solutions all over the country, wherever we go. I wouldn't. I would have remained employed, earning the $300. But because I chose to take the route less traveled, because I chose to say, you know what, let me be bold and take that step. I always talk about the doors, some at the airport, some at service stations. There are certain doors that will remain closed if you do not approach them. But when you walk towards those doors, such is it with life, you'll only get in life what you're willing to put your effort in when you begin to walk towards something. There are many listening to us today, Becky. We've heard them on the show. Entrepreneurship is not for everybody. I'll just remain with my job, my just over broke until I die. And that's that. Those people were not meant to just have that type of life. But they've conformed themselves because of their habits, their upbringing. Their parents did it all their lives. They worked 20, 30 years. And that's all they were ever exposed to. But imagine now in a day and age, believe this or not, there are people who are making money on social media. There are people who are making money being middlemen, right? There are people who are brand ambassadors and getting paid. Things and times have changed. And I'll repeatedly say that AI, artificial intelligence, the robots are swiftly coming to take away your job, that you continuously rely on that one stream. And guess what? Very sooner, not even 5 years from now, Becky, people will watch this and say, wow, George was intergalactic with his talk, because it's like he saw the future. And now I was just an accountant, I was just a bank teller, but now I don't have that job. And what are you going to do then? Which is why we then go back to fortune favors people who are going to do something outside their comfort zone. I love the word of God where it says, God will bless the works of your hands.
Come on now.
I love the word of God.
The hands have to be doing something.
I love the word of God in Hebrews. It says, faith is the substance of things. We all know how that ends.
Yes.
But faith without action is dead.
True.
And it goes on to say, it is impossible to please God on this planet without exercising something called faith. So faith is you starting your little hustle. And don't worry where the customers are going to come from. Because when you start, when you shout out to people, when you advertise your business, God will cause people to come and purchase specifically from you. But some of you, there's nothing we can ever buy from you because there's nothing you're offering. The only stream of income you have is just your job. It's better you are selling chickens. You've got a side hustle, you're farming in your backyard. You've got something you are doing. And when you begin to say, wait a minute. When I started first month, I had $50. The next I had $200. It will grow. But then people don't understand the little principle that says, if you put a little on a little, soon it will become much. But with your job salary, which is great, it's a good start. Your job is just a stepping stone for you to invest in a business you're supposed to start. But majority of people will just use their salary and consume it, run it hand to mouth. But that will never ever add up to anything in years to come. When many people, now they've grown up, your kids are asking, Dad, those people, they've bought another car. Why are we still staying this side? Why can't I go to that school? Why can't we go on holiday? These are some of the questions that you're going to be asked by your kids in time to come. If you don't conquer your fears and understand the message, which was saying fortune, this life on this universe, the universe will only give you what you give it. And if you give it a product or a service, in return, the universe will give you abundance. It will give you success, to give you financial freedom, to give you a wealth of things. Just relying on one thing will not. So all the names I mentioned earlier on were people who decided to deliberately say, you know what, there's nobody who started a network company in Zimbabwe. There's nobody who's built the tallest building in Zimbabwe. There's people who are going to need land. Let me invest in land. There's nobody who's got a funeral company. There are some, but let me start this. There's nobody there are people who've got air conditioning companies, but we know the best air conditioning company in the country, providing heating and cooling solutions in your car, home and office. Somebody had to take that step to say, you know what, I'm going to start this. And at the beginning, it will not look easy. And I tell people that a lot of people think entrepreneurship is easy, but it's for the brave. It's for those who are willing to sacrifice the immediate for that future, which is going to be a shade of a tree, which is going to cover a lot. Our current generation, unfortunately, believes in blinging, in being seen now, in not investing, in not sacrificing the immediate for future rewards. People want to drive the latest cars without...
They must know.
They must see me.
Yes.
They must see me that I have arrived.
They must.
Yes. But remember, that's not an investment. And that's not something that's going to become something in the future. Because one of my key principles in life is that we need to understand what the Word of God says about leaving a blessing for the next generation.
Right.
Leaving wealth.
You are speaking from a point of privilege. You're speaking from a point of, I've exercised this and I've seen how bad it can go and I've seen how good it can go. So you have already gone through that process. You probably invested in a car that you thought, man, I shouldn't have done that. Let me go back to the drawing board. And then you rescaled and reimagined and rearranged your life. And now you are thinking better. Now you are speaking to someone who is saying, flip, man, George has really spoken to me and my business is doing good. I'm investing. I am saving. I have started this business. I still have my 9 to 5 and, things are looking good. Hey, there's this crazy car that I want to get. But here's George saying, Msadaro. But George, please allow me to get this car. Let me feel it. And then we'll see it when we get there. Are we going to, not really say allow, but like permit, give that little envelope of, go ahead, but don't lose your mind, because people are going to do it.
No, true, and it's important, and this is why, we live and we learn. And it's always good to learn from those who've gone before you. I've always said I've been privileged to sit down with many of my mentors, and I've learned from their mistakes and some of the mistakes that they made in their lives, which caused them to waste a lot of money that they could have put to good use and productiveness had they known that, buying a brand new car from the dealership is not a good idea. Why not, invest in product, in growing your business? Why not invest in something that gives you some return on whatever you invest on? So what I'm telling people, there are people out there, and get it correctly, it's a principle at our house that we celebrate even a small win by doing something for yourself.
Okay.
If you win a medal for swimming, we'll celebrate you. But understand, you need to celebrate yourself, having conscious of what you want to ultimately be. For me, Becky, you may say, George, I've been privileged. Becky, I've got 5 kids and I have a lot of responsibility on my back. So it's important.
Do you ever feel like that moment where you stop and think, I've got 5 kids? Do you really stop and think about it? Because that just rolled off your tongue, like, yeah, I got 5 kids. And I'm thinking there's someone out there going, I've got 5 kids. And you're like, I got 5 kids.
Yeah.
That's a different
No, I'm proud of my
platform
kids, and understand this, Becky. Every blessing, and understand. Only if you then decide what I was going to say. I started the business when I had twins. Nandripamawan, Becky, I couldn't pay rentals. I was earning $300. Things were not adding up, and I had to take that bold stance to say, you know what? I have to do this to make sure that I provide, and I make sure that I also do something that my kids will be able to go to a good standard school and live a decent lifestyle compared to what I grew up having. So to somebody, it's something that it can be a trigger. There's some people who only start a hustle when they are released from work, and then when you don't have a backup plan. I've always said, people say, George, you've always highlighted that education is not key because you started without education. I actually then got education. I think I felt that my education, mine is not to say to people, no, don't go to school, just start a hustle. No, I still, even up until now, I'm self-developing myself in entrepreneurship, in business administration, in corporate governance. You never stop learning as an entrepreneur. But what's important is, what's your why you're starting? For me, it was pressure. I had no backup plan. My dad was no longer going to the city of Harare. He couldn't take care of me and my wife. I had to make a plan and become responsible. So I chose to do the brave thing, which is jump off the ship with no parachute, Becky.
Oh my gosh.
And everybody was saying it's not going to work. Imagine falling.
So bravery doesn't calculate the risks, it looks at rewards. What does bravery do?
I've always
when
said,
you say you're brave, you're like, eyes closed, I'm jumping.
That's it, you're
I
fearless.
will land when I land.
You're fearless. You're fearless because remember what we said, the abbreviation of failures. It's first attempt in learning. If you fall down, don't stay down. Dust yourself up, get back up, and you've learned something from what people deemed a failure. So I have failed many times, but guess what? I have learned many times. And whilst I was jumping out of that plane, I understood that, wait a minute, I didn't know I could flap my hands and wait a minute, I'm actually flying. So a lot of people don't know what jumping off is because they've never done it. So they look at entrepreneurs and say, me paying myself last. Why? Why should I do that? Let me just stay and not have the hassles of paying rent. Then the cars need fuel. Then we need to pay an operating license. Then we need to register for. That was my mind
at one point in time.
So, but people don't understand. And I've given this example, Becky, that a JOB is like a 500 ml bottle of water. That's your salary.
Okay.
To everybody who's listening, your salary does not change the whole year, except maybe in November when they call it a bonus, right? But for an entrepreneur, he does not have a 500 ml bottle of water. He's got an unlimited tank, right? An unlimited huge reservoir. Yes, there may be some months and some times where things are not okay, but then there can be 10,000 liters that come in. 100 liters. It's never governed, and there's always more possibility for a lot more than just relying on your 500 ml. Because trust you me, Becky, 500 ml does not take time to consume, right? It doesn't. I know there are many things that line up as an entrepreneur, but there are so far more benefits once that business is established that you will think, wow, one of the best things I did, Becky, and I love how God causes all things to work together for good. I never used to win prizes back in school. Remember I told you about the NHS, I was laughed at, the No Hope Squad, this guy will never make it, soccer player, this, that, and the other. So people deemed me, he's never going to make it in life. At home, I'm the only one who never went after school to do a diploma or a post-grad. So everybody was like, you humble, anything. So there was a lot of naysaying to me, because of the journey I traveled. But imagine 3-4 years into business, began to get awards and all these things. So all those guys who got awards at school, and now me, the guy who deemed, I'll never be anything, I now realistically in life, because I chose to be brave and courageous and do what everybody else is not doing and say, you know what, let me jump ship. I now got acknowledged, and now Becky, I'm traveling, I'm going to speak at places, I'm being paid to speak. All of this is now happening because of the decision I made years back to actually do something that other people were not doing. So this is where we're talking about fortune favors the brave. When you decide to deliberately be courageous and say, you know what, I'm going to try this. And I urge everybody on hustle hard, because our purpose here, I keep reiterating to some of those who are offended by George's message, one day it will do you good, because there's nobody else telling you the truth. A lot of your friends are comforting you in the comfort zone where you are. You are comfortable with your salary. Some of you have jobs where they even pay for your kids' fees and everything else, and you don't even know how to go to a service station because your cars are filled up at work. But imagine if that finishes and you now are by yourself, what do you fall back on? But to he or she who decides to say, you know what, why don't I start small? And majority of people don't like to start small, because sometimes it's starting selling things from your boot, it's advertising things on your WhatsApp status. It looks a bit, Becky is an executive, now she's selling tomatoes. What's that about? But trust you me, you could be the biggest distributor of tomatoes in your neighborhood or in the whole town if you just decide to take it seriously. Because guess what? It's going to add a little more than what you just already have.
It's 12:48 on the Pulse, and I'll be taking questions, comments, and contributions. You've already sent me through some messages. I think there's this one that we need to look at, and it sounds like a really good topic for next time. What I like, like munungachangamuki.
True.
Sapuse. So this one writes in and says, vazhinji vacho vari kutaurwa vakangoita copy and paste those entrepreneurship dzavanadzo dziri kutaurwa. So they copied from the company, vakashandisa template iyoyo, and they became competitors. So my response was like, and then they say bozve kuti ndosaka uchinzwa imwe team ichizoti entrepreneurship haisi yemunhu wese, zvakungoda kuti uri kugona here kugara muindustry iyoyo.
Okay.
So like you've seen how to do something. You know you can do it.
True.
Then you branch out from the place where you were working, and you're like, this is the job I was doing in that company. I can surely start my own because I know how the system works. Right? Then you start your business, and then you discover, man, I don't have a backbone for this thing. Dangandiri overexcited, and I felt like I could do this. If you get someone who is in that position, can they then bring someone on board who's got the backbone for entrepreneurship to run that side of things for them, and they do what they do best? So
Becky, understand there's nothing new under the sun. There's absolutely nothing new. Business that you see being done by somebody today has already been done by somebody. I've always given this example that a lot of people are stepping on their gold and they actually do not know it, and they are looking far away on what hustle or business to start. Yet you've been at an organization for 10, 20 years and you know the in outs of that. There's nothing at all wrong with you resigning like I did. I used to work at an air conditioning company. I left there and I decided to start my own. If you look at the biggest network company in Zimbabwe, back in the day, Dr. Strive Masiwa used to work at PTC, which is known as Tel One. One of the greatest bankers here in Zimbabwe, Dr. Nigel Chanakira, used to work at a former bank before he started Kingdom Bank. Philip Mataranika of Nyaradzo used to work for another funeral company as an insurer before. Zodwa Mkandla, who has her own travel agency, Travesh, used to. I don't know why I could go on. Amai Dr. Rebecca Chisamba used to work for our own TV channel here before she decided to take a show off air and commercialize it and start the Amai Rebecca Chisamba show. Shall I keep going?
Dude,
I can
be
keep
in here.
going.
We need to take a break. When we come back, we'll continue with George Billionaire. Keep your messages coming through. We'll be right back to go through them.
And you're listening to Cappy Talk 100.4 FM, Harare's Heartbeat. With yours truly, Becky K.
The Cappy Talk 100.4 FM, Harare's Heartbeat, going through some messages, comments, and contributions. But that's not how you spell George. But anyway, George, you are God sent.
Becky, please read the message. You know,
I'm reading.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's with a G.
Yeah.
You are a God sent motivator. You're a God sent motivator. Becky, it will tell one George, you know, the sixth sense is single one kuma university. Like you don't get that from the university. You get that from the school of hard knocks.
That's right.
Hi Becky, my favorite. Oh, you're my favorite too. I enjoy George Billionaire program so much. It keeps me going on my projects. This is my Tana 1611 and a motivator of our generation. Okay, George, how you feeling? Hey, Becky and George, thank you guys. I learned a lot. This is Victor Mapirwe, representing Epperton Park. Hi, Becky. Oh, sorry, I was about to read that one again. I'm always taking notes and implementing big time. Managed to keep going even in difficult times. The journey is not easy, but the results are coming up big time. My fintech is actually growing in a positive way. We are not stopping. I think you spoke to this young man last week.
Yeah.
He was talking about giving up and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Anzi ukadadirwa ne upenyu unobudirira.
True that. You just need that drive. You need your why.
That drive is very important.
And to everybody out there, I urge people, and we did that exercise last time. We closed our eyes. We went to heaven. We were shown a preview of how our life was supposed to be. Becky K was supposed to be a media guru, had her own podcast, had her own TV channel. She was traveling the world, doing all sorts of things. And she ultimately became a multi-billionaire based in America, Europe, and this, that, and the other. Then Becky came back and saw where she was. And you know what? That's the motivation some of us need.
Yeah.
Because you need to see that there's a lot that God put in you, but you'll never see it until you begin to apply yourself in it.
Yeah.
I never thought I would be the person I am today. But because I went towards that door opened. I didn't know entrepreneurship from day one. I learned along the way. I deliberately associated with successful entrepreneurs in the country. I went and I learned. One of the greatest lessons I learned in business were from all my former bosses. All the good things they did for me and all the things they didn't do for me. Yeah. And guess what? I now apply those to my current staff, and I understand that a shop floor worker sweeping, a guard at the gate is just as important as the MD and the COO. And people are human beings. There's a God in everybody. You know, at our workplace, I learned a very important lesson about some things that were going wrong from my security guard, because I gave him an ear and he spoke to me. So you live and you learn as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You're always learning. You're never going to get it right the first year, 2 years. But once you get into it, it's going to be smooth sailing. You'll be asked, how did you do it? And for me, I give a big shout out to all my mentors. I could go on an hour thanking all of them, because guess what? They have made me who I am because I chose to learn. And just like the pulsers today, who are choosing to deliberately hear what we're saying, take notes, the most important thing about what we're telling you is a simple thing called taking action. You have to ultimately say, you know what? Thanks, George. I'm going to start this side hustle. I'm going to start planting those seeds at the back of my garden and start selling them small scale and see how they work. I'm going to start doing something, because don't wait for the day an X comes, and it will come to all of us. And I don't want people to live with the worst word that any human being can live with. If you go to the old people's homes, this is the word that they'll tell you. And this word is called regret. I wish I had started. I wish when everybody else opened, I did. I wish. And muchishona tunoti dai kufunga kwechi Becky. Right. And we don't want at that time I put you on the spot.
Oh,
and you didn't come.
And I was like, yo,
I didn't want to say that on radio, right?
I am quick.
But dai kufunga kwe wanu vai vachafa ne regret. You're going to die with regret. When others are doing it, you could have done it too. But the only thing that held you back was your fear of the unknown, the fear of failing. There's also, I've always told people, what if you fail is what you keep asking yourself. But what if you succeed? What if it works? What if all things go right? And now that thing has worked out and it's changed your generation, the nation, the continent, the world at large. What if it works? Your life will be totally different. So here's to those who are going to conquer their fears. And as we finish up, understand that fortune favors the brave. And those willing to do what others are not doing and not willing to do will harvest that which others are not doing.
George Billionaire, once again, hitting the ball out of the park with Hustle Hard. Fortune favors the brave, and he's saying, go out there and be brave. Just close your eyes and jump. What if you make it? Stop asking yourself, what if I don't make it? What if you make it? What if you make it?